Hi guys, having heaps and heaps and heaps of trouble trying to get this camera to see that I'm here, not over there. I want to have the water in the background, but it's not working. Let's try there. Hello my special little people, I miss you so much. I found another book for us to read together, okay? It's called The Boy Who Was Followed Home. Margaret Mayhew wrote this book and she's one of my favourite kids authors. The Boy Who Was Followed Home. One day, a small, quite ordinary boy called Robert was coming home from school. He looked over his shoulder and there was a hippopotamus following him. Robert was surprised and pleased. Pleased because he'd always liked hippopotami, and surprised because nothing like this had ever happened to him before. I'll move so you can see the pictures better. Okay. When he got home, the hippopotamus followed him up the steps and tried to come in the door. Robert thought his mother would not like this, so she shooed him away. It went and lay down in the goldfish pool on the lawn. Looks like it's having fun, doesn't it? Oh my gosh, look at the fish flying out. What on earth is that in the goldfish pool? Asked Robert's father. It's a hippopotamus, father, said Robert. Really, said father, people should keep their hippos chained up and not allow them to go climbing into other people's goldfish bowls. The next day, the hippopotamus followed Robert to school. Robert was working and playing all day and did not think of the hippopotamus until he went home in the afternoon. Then there was a rustling noise behind him. When he turned around, there were 4 hippos following him. Robert was even more pleased and more surprised than he had been the day before. He was delighted to think that he was the sort of boy that hippopotamuses would follow. When he got home, the hippopotami went and sat in the goldfish bowl. It was quite a big pool, but with 4 hippos in it, it seemed quite small. There are 4 hippopotami in the goldfish pool this evening, said Robert's mother. That seems like quite a few. The next day, the 4 hippos quietly followed Robert to school. But that afternoon, when he walked home, 9 hippopotami followed him and got into the goldfish bowl. Oh my gosh, now it's getting crazy. Look at them all following him home from school. Things like this went on for several days. Robert's parents, who were very polite, tried to ignore the growing number of hippopotami crowding in the goldfish pool. But when there were 27 hippos jostling each other all over the lawn, Robert's father gave them a gloomy look and said, I wonder where they came from. They follow me home from school, Robert said. They like me. There seems to be only one solution for it. We'll have to get a witch to put a spell on you to make you unattractive to hippos. Robert was sorry because, as you know, he liked hippos, but he had to admit that 27 were too many for the lawn. The father looked up witches in the telephone book, selected Mrs. Kathy Squinge, who advertised children as her speciality. He made an appointment and following the following midnight, sharp on the broomstick hour, Mrs. Squinch appeared down the chimney. "Hippo trouble, I see," she said, having counted 43 hippos on the lawn that evening. "A simple pill will solve all these difficulties. Give it to us quickly," said Father, anxious to get rid of Mrs. Kathy Squinch, who was not very respectable looking. "There is one disadvantage, perhaps," began Mrs. Squinch. "The pill does cure people of hippos, but—" "No buts," said Father, "just give us the pill." So Mrs. Squinch passed the pill to Robert, who swallowed it down. "The pill is guaranteed," said Mrs. Squinch, "but perhaps I should warn you." "Enough," said the father, and shooed Mrs. Squinch up the chimney. Sure enough, next morning the pill worked wonderfully. Although Robert seemed no different, he had no sooner stepped outside than the 43 hippopotami slunk away from him, giving him reproachful looks over their shoulders. Within minutes, the lawn and even the streets were empty of hippopotami. Robert couldn't help being a bit sorry, as he was a boy who liked hippos, but off he went to school happily enough. He played all day, and at last it was time to go home. As he walked along, he turned around half expecting to see hippos, but there wasn't a hippo in sight. What was there? A giraffe! And then there's 4 giraffes. That's a funny book. I love that book. Robert was very pleased. I hope you're good, and I'll see you soon. Only a couple more days and Mummy will be home, okay? So big hugs and kisses. I love you all the way to the moon and back. Good night.